8 years ago in Moscow, a single 108th-minute strike from Mario Mandzukic shattered England's deepest World Cup run in a generation. Now, on June 17, 2026, those same two nations meet again in Arlington, Texas, to open a Group L campaign with everything to prove. England enters this tournament under Thomas Tuchel, having abandoned its previous reliance on individual flair for a rigid 4-2-3-1 structural discipline that produced 8 straight qualifying wins without a single goal conceded. They face a Croatian side that thrives on the technical brilliance of its captain. At 40, Luka Modric remains the fulcrum of a team that has stood on the podium in 2 consecutive World Cups. This is the ultimate test of Tuchel's new system. Since 2000, Croatia has defeated England in competitive matches more than any other nation, and Tuchel must now prove his tactics can finally neutralize that historical disadvantage. The transition under Tuchel has centered on total spatial control. Instead of waiting for a moment of magic, England now uses possession as a defensive tool, forcing opponents to chase the ball for long stretches. This meant making squad decisions that shocked the public. High-profile creators like Cole Palmer were omitted because their free-roaming style threatened structural integrity. In possession, Tuchel's 4-2-3-1 collapses into a central box midfield to suffocate the pitch. Harry Kane dropped deep, acting as a decoy to drag centre-backs out of position, opening a direct channel behind the defence. As the space opens, a defensive midfielder like Declan Rice pushes forward into the attacking third, turning a deep-lying role into an offensive weapon. Tuchel is also leaning on the Arsenal playbook for set pieces. By utilizing the physical presence of John Stones and Ezri Konsa, England creates mismatches in the box that Croatia's aging backline will struggle to mark. Every decision is calculated to remove chance, building a possession-heavy engine designed to systematically exhaust the opposition. But Zlatko Dalić has built his career on frustrating superior teams. Croatia will likely deploy a compact, patient defensive block, content to absorb England's pressure while waiting for a single second ball opportunity. However, recent losses to Belgium and Brazil showed a vulnerability. When forced to defend high-speed transitions on the counter, Croatia's veteran defenders showed a significant lack of recovery pace against faster attackers. England will try to exploit this through Jude Bellingham. He must find the narrow pockets between Croatia's defensive lines, turning before the midfield closes in. The counter-move belongs to Mateo Kovacic. He acts as a screen, immediately collapsing on Bellingham to deny him any space to look for Kane. The most critical battle, however, is the one aimed at the Croatian captain. England will assign a dedicated ball winner to hunt Luka Modric for the full 90 minutes. Through aggressive pressing and cutting off passing lanes, the goal is to deny Modric the 2 seconds he needs to scan the field and dictate the tempo. If that press fails and Modric finds his rhythm, England's entire attacking shape becomes a liability. One penetrative pass can bypass their high line, putting the defense in immediate retreat. For all the talk of squads and formations, the outcome likely rests on who controls the flow of play in that center circle. Given England's streak of clean sheets and Croatia's compact style, this will be a war of attrition. Statistics favor a controlled, low-scoring affair over an open spectacle. Betting markets and tactical previews both point towards a 1-0 result. Whether it comes from an England set piece or a Croatian counter, a single moment of execution is likely to decide the night. A win for Croatia would prove that established team chemistry and technical grit can still triumph over heavily modernized tactical systems. For England, 3 points would validate Tuchel's controversial squad cuts and signal that they finally possess the discipline required to win a major trophy. Now we wait to see which philosophy prevails. Will clinical modern tactics finally rewrite the history of this rivalry, or can Croatia's technical resilience deliver one more upset to the Three Lions?
Under the incredibly bright lights of AT&T Stadium down in Dallas. And if you're wondering why the global hype for this specific match is completely off the charts, well, it's basically a perfect storm. We're talking a really bitter historical rivalry, totally clashing managerial styles, and this incredible movie-like showdown between a legendary aging golden generation and a totally revitalized powerhouse. So here's our game plan for today. We're going to hit the bitter modern rivalry, look at Modric's final World Cup, break down Tuchel's new attacking engine, check out the lineups and squad depth, and finally get into the real tactical battleground.
Part 1. A bitter modern rivalry. The ghosts of the past.
Look, you really can't grasp the sheer magnitude of this game without understanding the history here. This whole thing really kicked into overdrive back in November 2007. Croatia walks into Wembley and pulls off a famous 3-2 win. It's notoriously known over in the UK as the Wally with the Brawley match. Total disaster for England. It ended their Euro 2008 qualification hopes and forced a massive shakeup at the FA. Then, fast forward to 2018, the absolute peak of this rivalry. Croatia stuns England 2-1 after extra time in the World Cup semi-final. Now, yeah, England did manage to get a little bit of revenge at Euro 2020 with a 1-0 group stage win, but honestly, the psychological scars of that World Cup exit, they still heavily define this matchup.
And that brings us to the number 109. That represents the 109th minute in Moscow during that 2018 semifinal. That is the exact heartbreaking moment Mario Mandzukic capitalized on some defensive hesitation to score the winning goal. To this very day, that is literally the latest goal England has ever conceded at a World Cup. It's a lingering scar. The English media, the fans, nobody has forgotten it, which just fuels this massive underlying desire for World Cup revenge.
Section 2. Modric's final World Cup. The 40-year-old maestro.
Shifting gears to the Croatian side. 40 years old. Think about that for a second. At exactly 40 years old, AC Milan midfielder Luka Modric is embarking on his 5th World Cup appearance. It is a staggering achievement. The guy is closing in on an unbelievable 200 international caps. I mean, a lot of people assume 2022 or maybe Euro 2024 would be his big swan song. But no! Even after undergoing surgery on a broken cheekbone earlier this year, he's still the undisputed metronome of this team. Actually, since he moved to Milan in 2025, he's arguably been their absolute best player. He's proving his elite vision hasn't faded even a little bit.
And if you doubt his motivation, just listen to what he said. He completely shut down all the retirement talk. He made it crystal clear that Croatia is not just flying to North America to be an extra on someone else's farewell tour. I mean, they were the 2018 runners-up and the 2022 bronze medalists. Modric sees his role right now as bridging that gap between his golden generation and the new rising youth. He's relying on that incredible unity that has made Croatia one of the most resilient, tough-to-beat tournament teams of the modern era.
Which brings us to Section 3. Tuchel's new attacking engine and England's flawless form.
Opposing all that veteran Croatian grit is an English squad that looks completely reborn under Thomas Tuchel, 22. That number right there represents England's flawless 22-0 goal differential across 8 perfect qualifying wins under their new German coach. 0 goals conceded. They've completely moved away from that conservative, possession-heavy style we saw in the Southgate era. Tuchel has brought in this aggressive system that generates super high-quality scoring chances while still being literally a brick wall at the back. 10 consecutive competitive victories without letting in a single goal? That is a true testament to this new era.
So how does this actually work on the pitch? Let's break down Harry Kane's evolving role because he is essentially the tactical engine of Tuchel's whole system. Step 1, Kane drops deep into a false 9 space, very similar to what he does at Bayern Munich. Step 2, opposing center backs naturally get drawn way out of position trying to track him. And step 3, that momentary confusion totally unleashes England's dynamic, youthful wingers. Guys like Bukayo Saka, Noni Madueke, or Marcus Rashford just explosively exploit all that newly open space right behind the defensive line. It's this brilliant push-pull system that is an absolute nightmare for older, aging defenses to deal with.
And it doesn't stop there. Tuchel has built a squad that just suffocates you on multiple fronts. I mean, they averaged an insane 74.3% possession in qualifying. But they aren't just passing it around the back for fun. They lean heavily on set-piece routines. Honestly, it's like they lifted the Arsenal playbook, using big, physical defenders like John Stones and Ezri Konsa to completely dominate the penalty area. And defensively, get this, they faced only 6 shots on target during the entire World Cup qualifying campaign. Just 6. That's how disciplined this unit is right now.
Moving on to Section 4. Lineups and squad depth. The tale of the tape. When you look at the expected formations, it's a mirror image, 4-2-3-1 against 4-2-3-1, which tells us this game is going to come down to individual man-to-man battles. Just look at the crazy age and experience gaps in the middle of the park. You've got England's 22-year-old superstar Jude Bellingham operating as the number 10, going directly head-to-head with the 40-year-old maestro Luka Modric. Crazy, right? Then you've got this heavyweight clash of elite center backs. John Stones anchoring for England, and the sensational 24-year-old Joško Gvardiol holding down the line for Croatia.
And when you zoom out to look at the broader squads, the contrast is even wilder. England has this ridiculous pool of youthful depth. Tuchel actually calls his highly energetic bench attackers, guys like Madueke, Anthony Gordon, Iberici Eze, his finishers. He's planning to unleash them late against tired legs. On the flip side, Croatia's depth leans super heavily on that golden generation's tournament pedigree. They're trusting battle-tested veterans like 37-year-old Ivan Perisic, while also really hoping that rising teenage stars like 19-year-old Luka Vuskovic can step up and handle the immense pressure.
Section 5. The Tactical Battleground. Power versus Patience.
So, considering everything we've talked about, where is this match actually going to be won or lost? Well, the whole game basically hinges on this massive clash of styles right in the central midfield. It is quite literally power against patience. On one side, you have Declan Rice's relentless physical high press. His job is to disrupt passing lanes, win all the second balls, and force a suffocating tempo. On the other side, Luka Modric's patient, controlled possession. Modric wants to slow the whole thing down, find those quiet little pockets of space, and pick apart the English defense with absolute precision. If Rice wins the battle, England is going to run riot. But if Modric can dictate the pace, Croatia dictates the game.
Which leads us to the big tactical questions both managers have to figure out. First up, can Croatia survive England's crazy early high-intensity press? Number 2, will England keep their patience if Croatia does what they do best and makes the game super ugly and tight? Third, at what exact moment does Tuchel pull the trigger and bring on his finishers in the second half? And finally, the question everyone is asking, can Croatia's aging legs realistically withstand England's relentless pace for 90 or, let's be real, maybe over 100 minutes in that Texas heat? But look, history tells us you never, ever write off the Croatians when it comes to tournament stamina.
So, we'll leave you with this final thought to ponder before kickoff. In this unbelievable clash of contrast in Dallas, will the ghosts of the past, that deep tournament pedigree, and veteran guile prevail for Croatia? Or are we witnessing the dawn of a ruthless, flawless, and totally dominant new English era under Thomas Tuchel? It is all going down in Dallas. Thanks so much for hanging out with us for this explainer, and definitely enjoy the match.